Good evening and welcome to tonight's class. Our last class, we were able to introduce ourselves to Power Query Editor, trying to see how we can automatically um, clean, automate, or transform her data sets. We expose ourselves into cleaning our data sets manually, and we saw how we were able to apply the formulas, the functions that we learned in the previous classes to cleaning the data set. But right now, we introduce ourselves to another aspect of this data set cleaning, of data analysis, which is using Power Query Editor to clean her data set. And I said, most of us might be hearing this or might be seeing this for the first time, but don't worry. Once you get used to it, you'll be very, very amazed, and that will be what you'll be using over and over and over and over again. Like we discussed during the last class, we discussed the advantages, we discussed everything it has, all the limitations the manual editing has. We discussed all the solutions it brought, and at least discussed so many things. If you really want to know more about it, go back to the previous class. So before further ado, I'm not going to waste much of our time. We just dive into today's class. So today we'll be going properly into data cleaning itself using Power Query Editor, and we'll see how we can clean it using this, clean a particular data set using the Power Query Editor. The data set to be using has been sent to us during the last class. Check the group. That's the data set to be using for today's class. So how I'm going to just go through how to launch our Power Query Editor. Like I said, if you are using Excel that is above 2016 and above, yes, I can assure you that Power Query Editor is installed already on your machine, right? It's an inbuilt plugin on Excel. Like I said, it's an entity. In 2010, the idea came in 2010, and it was a group of people that developed that particular idea. In 2013, they integrated it into MS 2013, but it's going to be a standalone. It was a standalone app where once you install your Excel, you have to install that same app again. So you'll be installing two apps for you to be able to run Power Query Editor. But fortunately, in 2016, they bought over the company. Microsoft bought it over and integrated it into their app. So since then, it has been development upon development on the Power Query Editor. So today we'll be moving straight. I'm going to teach you again how to go get your data set right from the source, right? So the first thing we need to do is to go to data, launch your Excel, just the way I've launched it. Come to data. Can you see? From data, you have the get and transform data. You have every other thing here. But what I need basically is this place called the get data, right? From getting data, you're getting data from the source. That's what it means. So which type of data are you getting? Here is from file, right? For now, we'll be using file. So which file are we using? Like I know, and I'm sure this file I'll be using is going to be an Excel workbook. If it's going to be a CSV, this is what I'm going to pick, right? Please take note. I might send you a data set that will be in .csv format. If it's going to be in .csv format, this is what you will pick. Right? But right now, the data set I sent to us is an Excel format. That's .xlx. Yeah, .xlx. Sometimes you might have an extension which is going to be .xlxx. Right? It does work. So I'm just going to click that. I'm sure you can see my screen. You can see the pop-up. So I'll be looking for the data set I want to use. So I'm using projects, right? I'm using this particular data set. So automatically, immediately I finished clearing this, I said we have this pop-up called navigator. This navigator gives me an options of whatever I want to do. So I've been able to click it. It opens a folder, which is a data, which is the workbook, right? And inside the workbook, I have this particular sheet called a bike buyer, right? Which is this. Once I click on this, then I come here, is either I load or I transform. All right. So if you want to clean your data set, you click on transform data. So what transform data does, it automatically opens up a Power Query editor, right? So, and that's what I'm going to do. Can you see? Hello, are you with? Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is it, and this is how it works. And I think that's basic thing. We were able to treat everything during the last class. So today we'll be working straight. We'll be working straight on how do we um, clean this particular data set. Right, that is very key, very, very key. Like I said, if you are cleaning, we clean rows by row. We clean row by column by column, rather. Sorry, we clean column by column. So the first thing we're going to check is we check if you have an unnecessary column. Do you have unnecessary column here? Let's check. You can go through it. Let's check. Let's go through. Don't think we have unnecessary columns. So all the columns are very useful, right? All the columns are very useful. So the next thing we will do, if there is no column that are bad, yes, all the columns are useful for now. So we can move to the next one and check how to do things. So the first thing we're going to do, the next thing we are going to do right now is to rename um columns. So we'll check and see if the way they name the columns, do we have a steady way of naming the column? Check all the columns again and let's see how it goes. Check all the columns and let's see how it goes. So we have ID, we have marital status, we have gender, we have incomes, we have children. But there's something I quickly want to teach us. I think it's important. I also say this. Very, very important. I think I've seen one column that we need to remove, and nobody talked about it. Did you see it? Did you see what I saw? Can you see this? I have purchased bike one and I have another purchase. So it means we have two columns that is saying the same thing. So I think we need to remove that. So I'm going to remove this. How do I remove this? There are different ways. I can right click and remove the column, right? And I can come here and do remove column. So either ways works depending on the ones that you really want to use, right? Either ways works depending on the ones you want to use. So I think it's important for you to pick either ones that you think it's very, very important. So I'll just come here, then do remove. Automatically, I've done that. So one thing I want you to also observe is observe this particular applied step. Everything I'm doing will be recorded here, right? Aha. So let's go back. And I'm done with that. So the next thing is, like I said, I want us to quickly see something as regards naming convention. So, and which is going to be very useful during the course of our class. So the way we name when we have a compound name is very different from this because we see all these headings as variables. Variables means a name that is used to assign to something, right? A name that is being used to assign to something. So if you now want to name something, especially when you want to store this in the database, it works very well in the database. Database does not really recognize compound word with spaces like this, right? So let me use quickly come here, write something here. So database does not really recognize when we have naming conventions. For example, I've got marital status. right? This is marital status. And I want to save this inside the database. What my database will see will not really be good, especially when I'm storing things in the database, right? So the way we name, there are naming conventions, right? There are two different ways we name. The first one is called a camel case naming convention. Camel case naming convention. So what camel case means is, camel now? You all know camel. Camel has an hunchback, right? So what it means is if you have a small letter or a big letter that comes, for example, I want to write your name. I have this name. This is the name I have here, right? And assuming I now write it together like this, nobody will know this is the name that I'm talking about. Nobody knows this is the name I'm talking, except maybe the person also sees it in herself or himself. But to an outsider or to a new person, the person will just name this thing as it is. The person might think this is just maybe an Edo name or Yoruba name or Delta name or Hausa name. Do you understand? But for us in the in the IT sector, we believe if you have a compound word like this and want to write them together, because most of the time we write them together especially when we have when we want to declare a variable, and which is also the meaning of this. I'm sure you might be hearing this might be the first time we hearing variable. Don't worry, we get to use them over and over and over again. I'm using this because I just want us to get used to it right now, right? And how do I name this? The camel case now says if I have a compound word like this, the way I'm going to do it for people to also see and read it very well is going to have for every word, I'm going to capitalize it, right? So I can even start with a small letter here and capitalize the Atinuke, right? It's obvious. This is a camel. The way camel works, we have a slopey back. We have an hunchback, which is a slopey back, right? And that is how it works, right? And this is why it's called a camel case. And other people, we can also do something like this. We can also use something like this. This is also correct, right? So the second way of writing is to use the underscore statement. Underscore statement. So if you have an underscore symbol, so if you have a compound word, we separate those things with an underscore. So I can do something like this. So for example, assuming I have something like this, this is even very worse. This is even worse. Nobody will know this is a compound statement. Nobody will know that. Even if I'm using words that are very good, for example, if I say common, you will know this is common. You would want to pronounce it together, right? So, but for us, if I'm going to change this, I will just do this. So, for example, it's obvious that this is very, very important. It's obvious that I'm doing what? Come home. And it also comes this way. I can also do it this way. So either ways works. So these are the two main ways of writing a compound statement. The first one is called the camel case, and the second one is the use of underscore to separate compound words. So having said that, so we'll see that we have issues with our table head, right? So how do we do that? We quickly change that. We can easily change it, and that is very, very important. So the first thing, I've got marital status. I can change this name. So how do I change it? I can just come here, then or double click here. So if I double click there, I will just do this, then put my underscore if I'm going to use underscore, or I can use a camel case also. Either way works. But me, I love using underscore. So if I have any other compound word, please check it out and let's discuss that. So that's this next thing we need to do. So I think with this, I'm done with the second way, the second aspect. of whatever thing I really want to do in terms of the cleaning of this particular thing. So the next one, please follow through, is to check individual columns. And I've checked this, so let's inspect. I'm expecting numbers here, right? In this particular play, if I see any other thing aside numbers, then of course there is an issue, right? So I will just quickly check through and see. I don't think we have issues, right? And I don't think we've got blanks also, right? So if you have blanks, this will also tell me. You can see this blue line. Is it blue or green? Yeah, green line. You can see this green line here. If you place your cursor there, it gives you a summary of what you have in each individual column. So it tells you we have 1,000 valid. We have that's minimum. It's saying 1,000. Then here you have how many error percentage, no error. Then we don't have any empty space. So no blanks, right? That's very important. These are things a normal Excel will not give you. These are things your normal Excel will not give you. So let's check here. This particular column, we have issues. So what's the issue? The issue is we have M and S. And M and S can mean anything. So we need to make sure that we edit this and we get it better. So anywhere you have M, and this is a marital status column, right? We should be able to say, okay, are they talking about married people? Yes. Do you understand? Then if it is S, I'm sure they'll be talking about single. So do you have any other denotion apart from M and S? I think yes. He's only married and single. They don't have divorce, right? So I think that is also very, very important aspect. So the next thing we're going to do is just to do a replace section. Please note, I'm not asking any question right now. I just want us to be very, very I want us to be very, very active here. So how do we do that? So I will just come here, then we'll come to transform. From transform, we can see replace value. I'll just click on the replace value. So anywhere you find M, right, please change it to married, right? Change it to married, and let's see. Can you see? All the M's there have been changed to married. So we'll do the same thing for S. Anywhere you see S, please change the S to single. Yeah, we are done. So that same thing also happens to gender, right? For gender aspects, we have male and female. Let's check, do you have any other gender apart from male and female? We assume this is Nigeria and we are cultural and we don't have any other sex apart from male and female. And of course, in the US also, Trump stated it categorically. We don't have any other sex. We only have male and female, no transgender, nothing, right? So yeah, we are going to replace value. So you just do M. Anywhere you see M in this particular column, change it to male. Very important. Then we'll do the same thing. You click on the same replace value. So you can see what I'm clicking, please. Change F to female. Yeah. We are done with these three columns. The next one is this particular column, right? And I don't think we should have issues here. So let's cross-check if we have issues, right? No issue also. We're expecting values to be there, and fortunately, it's only values that we can see. And that's a very good one for us, right? So the next one is we have children, right? Total number of children. So here we have children of between 0 to 5. However, we can be able to group these people. So how do I mean grouping? So most of the time, we should be having a band in terms of we shouldn't have a stereotypic function in such a way that we can easily I think they are just 5, right? Makes sense. So we can easily do even without grouping them because it's just 5. We should be able to see them. So why am I saying grouping? So most of the time, because we are a data analyst, right? We're a data analyst, and sometimes if you have a very bulky value, right? Especially when it comes to a place where we are going to group, which is the age aspect, right? Which is the age aspect. We are going to see why we need to group them. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to give you reasons why we need to group. But most of the time, when we see reasons why we need to group, we can group. That's one. Another thing is in questionnaire, in administering questionnaire or getting data set, some columns might have numbers and it might denote something else, right? For example, if you are one, sometimes if it's not just about children, if it is about performance based, right? One can be poor, two can be very good, and five can be excellent. So if you are now working with this in your data, if you're analyzing, you need to bring in those meaning into your analysis, right? So which means I need to change one to good, this to that, that to that, every other thing needs to be changed into a perfect one, which I think is very, very important, right? But here, I think with one, we can still relate with this directly. One children, two children, three, four, five, zero children. Yeah, very important. It's just six, and I think we can do away with that. Check this particular education column. You will see it's perfect. We don't have issues in terms of correction, but of course, I always advise in order to be very sure, because you don't need to write any function. What you just need to do is just to come and double sure. Then how do you double sure? Is to come to your text and change everything to capitalize each word. You can see, like I said during the last class, instead of writing a function that gives you proper blah blah blah, do this, right? So you are double sure that everything is perfect, right? You can also come here again and do trim. What trim do? Who can tell me what trim does? In 2 seconds, please. What does trim does, please? In 2 seconds.
Alignment.
Alignment. It removes spaces. Yeah, makes sense. So just to be double sure, I will do the two, right? Because I might not be able to see everything at once, but I need to be double sure that I don't have issues with those things, right? Very important. Here also, same thing, right? And I don't think I've got blank, no blank also. So what I will just do is come to format, capitalize each word. Capitalize each word is same thing as proper. You remember the proper function? Can you see it here? Ha. So I'll come here again, then I do trim just to confirm what we need to do, right? So keep moving. So yeah, I have homeowner. Yes and no. Correct. Perfect. I've got cars. So yeah, I can say number of cars can be 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Not bad, right? So that is also very cool by me, right? So it's not going to have more space and it's cool. So the next one is going to be uh, commute distance. So if I check on this commute distance, right, I would have an issue. So what is the issue? So if you check this particular commute distance, you will see the way it arranged it. I have 0 to 1, 1 to 2, then 10 plus, which is the third one. It is not arranging this as in ascending order, right? This 10 plus should be the last one. This should come last, because the way it is now, it means that if I'm going to check whatever thing I'm checking, it will arrange, this will be the third value, whereas this should be the fifth or sixth value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the fifth value, right? So this is what I might want to change and see what we need to do, right? So which I think makes more sense for me. So what I'm going to do right now is, anywhere you see this, another fastest way of changing, instead of coming here, you can also click on that thing and right click, then do replace value. So if you do replace value, so anywhere you find the value of 10 plus mile, replace it with something else, right? So me, I might want to replace it with more than 10 miles. I can just say more than 10 miles instead of saying 10 plus miles, right? I can just say more than 10 miles. Maybe this will work. Might be longer, but maybe this will work. Let's check. So what I'm going to do anywhere you see this exactly. So if I'm afraid, yeah, this is where the advanced option comes into play. If I'm afraid of what I put here, I might have it in another column. Maybe it's especially 10 or miles or anything. I can just come here and click match entire cell component. Match, which means what I've written here is check what I have inside the cell component. Please check it very well. So which means anything I have must be exact thing, right? Must be exact where I've written it, right? So smash the entire cell component, right? And this is what it works. So this is how it works, right? If I check this, it will work and everything becomes normal, right? So anywhere I see 10 plus miles, it has changed it to what? More than 10 miles. So let me check. Yes, and I have it where I'm expecting it to be. Right, aha, which makes more sense to me. So the next is going to be air, Europe, region, and the like. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Capitalize each word, then try and trim to make it faster. Then, yes, I'm here with the age, right? So if you check the age, you will see I have an age range from 25 to 89, right? So yeah, it will be very difficult for me to now start saying how many 25-year-old person is purchasing a bike? How many 25-year-old person are bachelors, right? How many 25? It doesn't make sense, right? I will be looking for 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So with this, as an analyst, you can group them. So we can group them in terms of, okay, I have youths, I have adults, or I have a middle-aged people, right? And I've got old people, right? So I can now group them into 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how I really want to group them, depending on your company's culture, depending on what you feel is best for the company, or depending on what you are trying to work on, right? So it's important for us to note all this, right? So here I can group into just 3. So I can have youth. So I'm going to have youth. So from youth, I can have mid-age, right? From mid-age, then I can add, say, old age. So remember how we can get these things done when we're doing manual Excel. So we know this is exact thing that we did while we were doing remarks, A, B, C, D, E, F. Excellent, good, very good, poor, fair. That's the application of this here. But fortunately for us, instead of writing that same function, right, the way you've written it in Excel to get it done, right, we will just come to hard column. I showed you all this in during the last class. Come to conditional column. Then conditional column gives me everything. So I will just change my column name and change this and say age underscore band or age group. Let me use group. I think that makes sense. Right. Age underscore group. So that's the name of the column. And I'm going to use an if statement. So the Power Query has already given me the if statement itself. I don't need to write it. My own is just to impute the values. Right. It's saying if age, I'm looking for age now. If age, if age is greater than, or this time around is going to be less than or equal to. No, it's greater than or equal to. So let's write it down. Let's write it down. I think it's important. The first thing we need to do is to write it down. I think let me also try and teach you how to do that. It's called trying to know your control flow and writing a pseudocode. We call it pseudocode in programming. Pseudocode is writing whatever thing you want to code in English language, right? So what do we want to do? We want to have an age group. We want to have an age group that ranges from, we have a age that ranges from 25 to 68, I think. Is it 68? I showed you earlier, but don't worry, we'll get it down. So how do we do it? So the first group is going to be youth. So what's the age range of youth? The age range of youth will be 20 to 25 and say 35, right? Or say 40, maybe. So the next group that talking about here is mid-age. The mid-age is going to be between now 41, Abi, and ends at say 56 or 55, or say 60, or let's say 55, right? So we can now say old age. This thing depends on how you want to do it. Old age now can now start from 60, 56 and above. So the next question now is, how do I now implement this in Excel, in Power Query? What we've just done is that's a simple explanation of what is called a pseudo code. We call it pseudo code, false code. So if I'm writing a programming language, I will write something like this even before I start coding. Sometimes, maybe because I'm good, everybody is good, we do this internally. Okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This okay. How do I now implement it? But it's always very good for a very good people to have a documentation of all these things, just the way we've done it right now. This is a simple analogy of what we call pseudocode in programming in computer. I'm sure those that read computer science will understand what I'm saying. In computer, this is what we call pseudocode, false code, right? Pseudocode. Aha. Right? So it's called a false code, a way of writing a code. What you want to implement, writing it in English language. So the next thing is now going to be, okay, how do I implement this thing in Excel or in Power BI? That is what we now want to do. So since we already have this thing at the back of our mind, right? The next thing is to go and implement. So how do we implement it? Right? So I will just take this aside just for us to see. I'm not going to erase it right now. So we'll implement that. So the first thing we're going to do is come to conditional statement, click on this age, come to conditional column. Aha. So what's going to be the first thing? The first thing we want to do is youth, right? And it's between ages 20 and 40. So like I said I'm going to change this to age underscore group, which is what I've done before. So I've passed the first one, right? The second one is if age now, aha. If age is now going to be, if age is now less than or equal to, right? That's one way. Another way we can do this is we start with if age is now less than or equal to 40, because that is what we do. So it means any age that is less than or equal to 40, please show us youth, right? That's the first one. I will tick it. I've been able to implement the first one, this first one, yeah? Then the second one, if I'm going to add the second one, can do add clause at the same time, or come here and click more, add clause. Can you see? Add clause. The add clause is to go to the second one. This is now the if nested functions that we normally do. If inside if, right? Aha. So I'm going to do else if age, right, is also less than or equals to 55. Let's see. So which means that, please, first of all, check what I've just written here is check if age is less than or equals to 40. If it is less than or equals to 40, please write youth. Then, if it is now more than 40, go and check again. If it is less than or equal to 55, you've implemented this. If that number that we put there is less than or equals to 55, please write mid-age, right? Then the last one, which is going to be this, So if it is else, else means I can come here and just say else, else. You can do old age. That's one way. Another way is I want to implement this again. If I want to implement this, right, I will just make this empty. Then I do else if again. Else if age, right, is now greater than or equal to 56. Right? If it is greater than or equal to 56, then we can do old age. Then I can come here and do else. If we don't have any other thing, we can do null. Don't put anything. Make it empty. If all this condition I put here does not satisfy whatever thing I have inside my column, right? Put null. And what am I doing? I'm trying to compare this particular age column, right? And use it to create a new column called age group. So which means that instead of having a very numerous table or numerous value or numerous way of analyzing, right? What I can just have is I will just have just three columns or just three values that will represent everything I have here. Just like a way of representation, right? So once I'm done, I will just click on OK, then boom, everything is perfect. So let's go and check mid-age, 42. Mid-age is between 41 and 55. Is it not the same? Yes, it's the same. So this one can represent all this perfectly well. So I can just tell them, okay, I have so number of people that are mid-age, right, that are buying bikes. I have got so number of people that are youth that are buying bikes. I've got so number of people that are old age that are buying bikes, right? So let's go check for old age. You can see 60. So you can see that what I've just written in a few seconds is correct. It's perfect, right? So, and what makes it much simpler is because I wrote it down before I started implementing. And I think it's very important. Let's try as much as possible to always do that. Very well. So, that's that as regards that. So with this particular one, you can see how easy it is, right? But yeah, data cleaning can be tedious. Data cleaning can be tedious, but this is very easy. And this is how we should look at it. Data cleaning is also easy once you understand and know what you are trying to do, right? When you understand and you know what you are trying to do. So what's the last thing that we need to do? We've been able to check individual columns and everything is perfect. The next thing we've not been able to do is to remove duplicates. So the next thing we're going to do is remove duplicates. So how do we remove duplicates? We just come to remove rows and we'll just click on remove duplicates. Sorry. Do you know why it's showing me all this? It's because of this particular column. I clicked this column. All right. And that should not be the case. What I need to do is just to come here. Don't click any column, right? Then don't make sure that your column is not checked. Any column is not checked. No column is checked. Then if you do that, then remove duplicate will work perfectly well. Can you see? You've been able to do that and everything is perfect. So the next thing we need to do is just to come to close and load. Once you do close and load, you will see that the Power Query Editor ceases to exist. Then it has pushed everything that we've done down here. That's pushed everything we did down here. So it's saying we have 1,000 rows loaded. That's what it's saying. And here it's saying we have 1,027 rows. So let's say 1,025 rows, or 1,026 rows. But at the end of the day, when we are done, it's saying we only have just 1,000 rows. Saying we just have just 1,000 rows. That is just it. Another way of doing this, right, is to go back. So let's go back. There are different ways of going back. I can do right click here and edit. That's one way. I can come to query, then come here and do edit. That's another way. I can place my cursor here and click edit. That's another way. So three ways of editing and going back to that space, which I'm going to show you. This is it. Can you see? You are done. So I can remove this. If I remove this, I can come back here and do close and load. If I close and load, I want us to see the total number. Can you see? It has changed from 1,000 to 126, 1,026, right? And if I want to confirm everything I've done, I can just close it here. Then try to expand it. Yeah, I think it's expanded. Then let me increase this again. Aha. Aha. So I'm just trying to make it bigger. I want to make it bigger for people to see at once. Age group. Yeah. Okay. I think it's cool, right? 150. I want to do 145. Aha. I think this is better. So I think everybody can see it at once right now. You can see all the columns at once. Right. So the next thing I can do is, like I said, I can also come here and remove the duplicate if we have duplicates, just the way we did during the last class. You can just click on duplicate, check how many duplicate do we have. Can you see? We have 26 duplicate
Yes, sir.
values found and removed, and we have 1,000 unique values right now. So which means what we did in Power Query Editor is also correct, right? I just did that just to confirm what we've done, nothing more, right? If it were to be me, I would just remove the duplicate there, then we'll come back and we'll start working on whatever thing we want to work. And that is that as regards data cleaning. So I can rest assured that the integrity of this data set is high. Very cool, right? And it's important for us to make sure that this particular data set is clean, right? Take it anywhere. I can assure you that this data set is clean. So having said that, right? So we are going to go straight to another aspect called analysis, the data analysis itself, right? So first thing first is another thing we normally teach our students is how do you name your sheets? So everything is being done in different sheets, right? This is the raw data set that we had earlier that has 1,026 rows, 127 columns, or rows, sorry. So this is the cleaned one. So I can come here and rename this and say cleaned, right? Clean data set. Another way I can do it is to make it colorful. So I can change the color from just being black to say red or green, right? This one, which is the raw, I can make it red. This one now, the next one is called analysis, right? Can just say analysis. So what are we analyzing? So it's important for us, once we clean, it's important for us to now do what we call EDA, exploratory data analysis on the data sets that we've cleaned, right? It's important for us to be able to do exploratory data analysis on the data set that we cleaned. And it is also important, it's easier when we do it. It's easier also in Excel, very easy. So there is this particular, in our school, there is something I want to talk about in our school. When we were in school, generally, we used to do analysis, in our high school, in our college days, in university days and the likes. We do analysis and we normally analyze most of our work here on this same page. Me, personally, I will just come here and start drawing charts on this same page on its own because this is where my data is, right? I would rather want to do this. I would rather want to do this and make sure my chart is here, then I copy it to the next one, right? Yeah, maybe it's cool in those days, but now if you do it today, I will tell you you are wrong, right? Because there are better ways to do it. And the way we normally do it that day, we can't even compare like 3 or 4 different columns together. We only do like 2, 3, and we are done, right? But here I can compare so many things together. And how do I do that? And I'm going to do that with the help of what we call a pivot table. Pivot table. So what do you mean by a pivot table? Pivot table is like an entity that helps summarizes the entire table in one column. An entity that summarizes the entire table. This is a table, right? An entity that summarizes the entire table in one column. So how do we do that? So we just come here and we click, right? So once we click, can you see pivot table? I've explained what it means. So it tells you what table range are you trying to check. So don't worry, don't cram anything, right? You don't need to cram anything. What you just need to do is go back to the clean data. Can you see? It has changed from being empty to what? Cleaned. Can you see? Cleaned. Then you click on any column there. When you click on any column, you can now press Control A. When you click on any column and press Control A, you will see that it's now taking, has changed from what? Clean to buy bias. Then the question is going to be, how do I know it is buy bias? Right? Why is it buy bias? So what I'm going to do is I will close this and I'm going to show you where they have buy bias. So I'm going to go there. Then we are going to check what is called when you come back to this particular place. Right? Let's go to table. Let's go to table design. So because we already have a table, right? Let's come to table design. In this table design, this is where we have bike bias. So if I change this to, let me see someone, okay, I think I have Absalam on call. Call Absalam, I've got let me use Absalam. So let me change this from buy bias to Abdusalam. So I can just say Abdusalam, then I press enter. So which means I've been able to name the table Abdusalam, right? So any name that you see there is going to show this particular name. So you can see how you can own your Excel. It's beyond what you used to do in Excel. So let me go back to what I was doing earlier, right? Which is going to be coming to analysis, come to insert. From insert, we do pivot table. From pivot table, we go straight to this column, to this table called cleaned. Can you see? It's changed to cleaned because that's the column we have. Then, like I said, click on any column, then press Control A. Can you see it has changed from bike underscore buyers that we have to what? Abdusalam. So we've named this table Abdusalam, right? So once I click on OK, you will see that I have a certain thing called a pivot table 1. And if you check to my right hand side of the pane, right, what I'm going to have is I have choose this field, search button. Then this is the entire column that I have got in this clean table. The entire column from ID, marital status, gender, blah, 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 blah. That is what I've got here. Can you see? Then if I need to check any data under each of these, once I click on any of this column, it pops up. The data pops up, right? I'm going to show you in a jiffy, but let me quickly explain what I've got here. All right, I got the filters. The filter is just to filter what I want to get here. But majorly what we need for this place to be able to analyze better is the columns, the rows, and the value, right? Columns, the number of columns, A, B, C. Rows, what do I have to do to have in row? For example, I want to have my x-axis, my y-axis, right? What do I want to put in the x-axis, which is this? What I want to put in my y-axis? Which column do I want to put in my y-axis? Which column do I want to put in the x-axis? I'm going to explain everything. Then value is trying to talk about numbers. For example, I want to know the total number of maybe salary that we've been paying, average salary, or I want to know the total number of people that have been coming to the store, right? For example, we want to know the total number of people that have been coming to our store. How do we get to know that? Very easy, straightforward. What I just need is make sure I get this ID. right? Once you click this ID, like or I'm going to click now, if I click this ID, automatically it goes to rows. Automatically it goes to rows, right? If I drag this to rows, I'm going to show you something. If I drag this to rows, remove field. I only have, oh, it's marital status I drag. Oh. Remove field. Is this I want to drag? Can you see what I have there? I have the entire data in that particular row. That's what I will quickly want to show you. And I don't need this. What I need is the count, right? So I will just drag this back to the values. So what this is showing me is total sum of what we have. But it's not the total sum I need. What I need is the count. I will just come here to this drop down. Then this you can see value field settings. Very important, right? I can remove what, if I don't like it, I can remove it from here. I can move it up if I have multiple values here. But what I need right now is this value field setting. So I'm going to click on this. Then it's on, you can see automatically it's on sum, but I don't need sum. What I need is count. So once I click on count, then I click on OK, you see it changes to 1000. So can you see the mathematics is being done by Excel itself? I'm not the one doing it. Mine is just know what do I need to click at the right time. Can you see what do I need to click at the right time? And that's what I'm after, nothing more. So I've been able to know that total number of people that came to the shop, right, is 1000. However, don't forget they gave me 1026 values. Well, I was able to discover that 26 of them are duplicates, right? 26 of them are duplicates. So I can tell them categorically that you don't have 1026. What you have is 1000. So you've got 1000 people that have come to your office, right? And that is that. So from there, we can now continue with our analysis. Then the next one we can also do is, because I've been able to get this, I can just say count of buyers. I can just change it. Yeah, just click on this and come and change it here. Say count of buyers. Instead of ID, you can just change it to buyers. Press enter, then we are good to go. This is 1000. And come to the next line, anywhere, then do the same thing. Pivot table, right? Pivot table, come to clean, click on any column, press Ctrl A. So which means Ctrl A means I'm copying the entire cell, right? I have pivot table 2. Right? So what analysis do I really need to do right now? I might want to say I want to know the total number of males and female. I want to know the total number of male and female that have come to our shop. Total number of male or female that have come to our shop during this particular period. That's another way. How do I do it? Right? What I just need to do is total number of male and female. I can just say I'm putting male and female to I can just click on this to the rows. Can you see? Male and female rows. So to the column, there's going to be numbers, right? So where do I really need to get the numbers? There are two different ways I can do that. There are different ways of doing that. I can drag this to say values. If I drag this gender to value, so it will tell me the total number of male. So we have 511 male and 489 female. If you add it together, it still equals to
That is
1000.
1000.
Can you see? And we can do more, right? For example, let's go to the marital status. So this time around, I don't want to know the total number of marital status. What I want to know is now, I want to compare which of the people buys bicycle the most, because we are selling bicycle, right? Is it married that are buying bicycle more or the singles, right? Which means I want to compare two values. I want to compare two columns right now. So how do I do that? So I can come here again, go to insert, click on pivot table, then come to this claim, click on any column, press Control A, then click OK. Can you see? Pivot table 3 is already having, right? So like I said, I want to compare marital status, male and female, married and single rather, then to total number of people that are purchasing bike, which is this. So I will just put this here. So I already know. Can you see now? This is where the column comes into play. You can see married, single. Yes, no. No, yes, sorry, rather. So how do I know their values? How many people are saying yes? How many people are saying no? I can now drag the purchased bike to value. So it tells me the total number of married men that are saying no, total number of married people that are saying yes. So amongst them, who are those buying more? Check for the yes. This is the yes. Who are those buying more? The singles are buying more bicycle compared to the married. Why? For obvious reasons. They are more energetic, right? And they don't have any other thing. They just believe buying car will be a luxury. Rather, they will prefer to use a bicycle to do exercise, have so many other things, and the likes. Very important. You will even see those that have declined. More married people declined more compared to single people, depending on what you want to do, right? Very important. That's another way. And another analysis we can also do is let's check who are those buying more from the educational aspect. Are they the elites or the drop out of school people? The elite means those that graduated with bachelors, with masters, with PhD, or guys that graduated from, say, high school, that's secondary school in Nigeria. If I college in the US or outside Nigeria is not the college you have in Nigeria. College is just like a university, right? So even if you graduated in college outside Nigeria, it shows you have a certain level of degree. You might not necessarily be BSc, but of course you have a certain level of degree, which is higher than high school, right? If I'm talking about high school, I mean secondary school. If I'm talking about degree, I mean maybe you've got diploma. If I'm talking about college, maybe you've got diploma or you've got BSc too, right? So very important, just for us to understand and have a better understanding of where we need to focus. But don't forget, what we have, what we have in mind is to check where do we need to focus more in terms of marketing. Who do we need to target more? Right? Right now, we can see more males are buying, but we don't have significant difference there. We can see more singles are buying. Rather, yeah, no significant difference, right? But we need to push more and see where we need to help or even invest more when it comes to the marketing aspect. Let's check the what's it called? Let's check for the educational aspect also. I'm going to do this once again before I now show you some magic we can also get. So I'm going to do this, come to clean, click on any column, press Control A, then we have pivot table 4, right? So what I'm doing is education. Can you see? Then after education, who are those buying? I'm going to have purchased bike. Then I have something like this. So we can see how many of them are buying more. Who is buying the most? Bachelors. Bachelors are buying the most. Who are the least guys buying? Partial high school. Guys that did not even finish high school. For obvious reasons. For obvious reasons. All right. We've got reasons for them not to buy. Guys that have bought the least is guys that did not finish high school. Right? So that's another way of getting your analysis done. Let's check for the age group. Who are those buying? So I'm going to explain what it means, right? So who are those buying the ball, right? So let's check. I can come here. You can come here. So let me quickly give you one very fast method of getting this thing done. So instead of going through that route, so you've done like 4 times, which I think you can also repeat and repeat and repeat, right? So for me, naturally, what I will just do, once I do one, I will just come and copy the rest. So I can copy this, the entire cell of this, just click the way I've just clicked, press Ctrl C, come here and press Ctrl V. So automatically you have the exact same thing. What I will just do is uncheck, uncheck. So once I uncheck, I have my things done, right? Once I check, I have it done so I can easily work with whatever thing I want to work with here. All right. So what I'm working with here now is I want to check for age. So if I do age here, so I drag my age here. Can you see? Let me remove this, remove field. I drag my age here and I drag purchase bike here and I drag purchase bike values. You will see that it doesn't make sense. So we'll be looking for, okay, 25 people, only two did not buy, four. 26 years old, 8. 27, it doesn't make sense till I get to 89. Doesn't make sense, right? But I can as well do something that will represent this thing very well. Those in statistics understand what I'm trying to say. Representation, frequency representation, it's very, very important, right? What we did earlier was to do a frequency representation that also represents what we are going to have here. It gives you an insight of what we have here. Nothing changed, right? So what we're going to do right now is simple. We're just going to do the same thing that we did earlier, can put it by side. I can come here again, do copy, come here and paste, right? And I uncheck this. I uncheck this. So I have pivot table 6 here. So this time around, I have my age group here, my rows. Can you see? Mid-age, old age, and youth. Right? I can even do adolescents. I can do adolescents, anyone. So maybe instead of youth, I should have done adolescents maybe, but that does not really mean anything. So I can come here, put my purchase bike in the column. Can you see yes or no? Then my purchase bike here. Ha. This makes more sense. So I can easily say that youths are the guys buying more. So if you want to analyze and tell me or explain what you have here, can you explain anything here? Will you tell me, I think guys with age 35 years at the bottom buying, they've bought 22, 36 of them came to our office, 22 of them bought, 14 of them did not buy. Does that make sense? Are you going to explain everything to the stakeholder? It's not going to be possible. You get to a stage, it will be boring. And you won't even get the exact value you really want to get from this particular analysis. But with this one, I can easily tell you that the youth and what makes up our youth is between the ages 25 to 45 or ages 25 to 40. And we can see that many of them was able to buy. So which means most of our investments, of course, we need to go there again. And for obvious reasons, we've got the old age. 50 of them can only buy. And for obvious reasons, maybe strength-wise, maybe they don't fancy it, maybe so many other things can really might have affected that particular low purchasing power, right? And we believe that our focus should be mainly on those the mid-age and of course the youths, but most especially the youths, because we've got like 144 of them that are not buying. We need to understand why they are not buying and what we need to do to improve in terms of, is it shop? Is it customer service? Is it this? Is it that? These are things that you have to ask yourself, ask the stakeholders, and even recommend what to do for them. Very, very important. You can imagine this is well explanatory. You yourself, you are even listening, right? You can even check it. You can see reasons, you can see values, and you can also explain it to yourself and to a stakeholder compared to what we have here. And that's the essence of having an age group. So, an assignment I'm going to give you, which I intentionally did not do, is talking about incomes. All right? Talking about what? Income. Very important. I'm going to use this income to work, but I want you to know group this particular income. We should have an income group where if you are earning from 50,000 to let's check the amount, the highest here is 170,000. The highest here is still 170,000. So we will do, if you are earning more than so amount, right? You should group them. You just group them into, say, average income earners, average uh good, then better. Yeah. Good, average, good, better. Average, good, better. You can group them into that. Average, good, better. That's going to be our assignment. So since we've been able to explain these two, and I can easily erase this or even delete this, right? So we can drag this here or do whatever thing you want to do with it, right? So another analysis, another thing I want to tell you, please, very important. No two analyses must say the same thing. No two analyses must tell the same story. No two analysis must tell the same story, right? It's important for you to know that. So I'm going to do the same thing, go back to the manual way of getting the pivot table, come to clean, click on A, press Control A, then come back here. I have pivot table 7, right? So I can do analysis based on occupation. So I want to know guys that are buying more bikes. I will just do guys buying more bikes, yeah. Occupation is here, so I've got this. Then purchase bike, column, then this. So this is telling me who are those buying bikes. So I want to know who are those that I need to like target the most skilled manual worker.
Mo sì lè
Professionals,
provide you
you
kí ni
can
mò ń ṣe?
you can see professionals are doing the right thing. Right now. Can you see? Very, very important. They are the one buying more. Professionals are the one buying more, right? So, and we've got so many other analysis that we can do. So, let's do the last one, which I'm going to show you right now, is maybe perhaps you do commute distance. Let's do that of commute distance, all right? So I'm going to do this, go back here. I've shown you the best, one of the fastest method I am using, but I'm still coming back here just for you to get used to this thing itself, right? Can do Control. So what I've just done here is press Control A, click on any column from 2, press Control A, then click. I have 8, right? Then I said I want to do commute distance. Yeah, very obvious. Then purchased bike. I'm going to have purchased bike here, then purchased bike here. So commute distance, this is from guys that are closer to the office. So we can take this for distance between the office to the home, right? So there's a place in the column in the questionnaire that says the distance between your home to the office. So we want to know, okay, why do you really need to use bike? So some people would rather take a bike to the office than to trek or to take a cab because taking a cab will be is not going to be effective. That's one. Two, taking a cab or a personal car, in terms of monetary value, doesn't make sense, right? They will because it's just like 1 mile away from my house. Why would I take a cab or take my car? Right? I can easily use a bike. One, it's going to serve as an exercise. I'm going to be more healthy. I'm going to look fit, and everything will be perfect for me. Right? And that's why it's for obvious reason you can see, guys, that the commute distance from their home to the office is just like 1 miles away from their home. They use this bike the more, and which means we need to focus on that also and see and also sell for these 166 people that are not buying. Is it because it's expensive? Is there a way we can also have a flexible payment plan for them to come and get? So from there, this 166 will also reduce drastically. So these are reasons why we need to start. It's not just about doing all these things, about trying as much as possible to understand the meaning of these values. right? Guys between 5 and 10 also, guys between 2 to 5 miles also, how do we make sure we get these things done? So these are ways in which we can easily get these things done better and better and better every time. Right? So we've been able to do this very well. I'm sure you will go back to the class, check the video again, and see this is what we call EDA, right? Trying to do analysis, trying to do analyze the data set that we've cleaned. This is for you as a data analyst. You understand what is happening. So after you might have done this, so my assignment is going to be let's check. We've done education, I've done occupation. Check for homeowners, check for children, check for regions. I think that is very important also. Regions. I want to know the total number of people that are buying, right? So once we are done with all this, me in class, I've been able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So yeah, so add 2 or 3 more or 4 more, but no two analysis must tell the same story. Very important. Please note that. No two analysis must tell. You can see what I'm trying to do. None of these analysis is telling the same story. No two analysis must tell the same story. Then after you must have done that, this will now lead us to the next aspect called visualization. Trying to visualize and create a dashboard. That thing that you normally see on, I'm sure many of you now, because you are working with data analysis, you've been talking about data analysis, you've been working with data analysts, and Google will be suggesting much of data analyst work with you for you or content for you, especially on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on so many other space. And what you will always see is dashboard. How did they get to that place? How did they get to that dashboard thinking is what we are going to do. So this is what led to dashboard creation, right? All those dashboard that you normally see, this is the values they are using. This is where they get those values. And don't forget, what we are trying to do is a dynamic data analysis. How do I mean dynamic? This particular sheet is linked with this. So if anything changes here, automatically values will change here. And our next sheet, which is going to be the dashboard, right, is going to be linked with this analysis, right? So whichever, if anything changes here, something changes here, automatically the dashboard will also change, right? And that's where we have a real-time analysis where it might not necessarily be real-time, but it's a dynamic analysis, a dashboard where if a certain data changes here, automatically analysis changes, then the dashboard also will change, will tweak by explaining what is happening and in the change of the data, basically. So please, do you have any question based on what we've done? We're able to clean our data and we're able to do analysis of those data. Any question based on what we've done? Okay. In view of no question, I've given you an assignment and I want you to please go check the video again. If you have any question, like I always say, you are just a chat or a call away from me. Just send a message, drop a message, or even call me. I would gladly respond. So enjoy and have a wonderful night rest.